E no Mosaico Online dessa semana, trazemos para vocês o depoimento do Primeiro Ministro israelense Bibi Netanyahu sobre a operação Pilar Defensivo e os ataques do Hamás a Israel. Acompanhe.
No government would tolerate a situation where nearly a fifth of its people live under a constant barrage of rockets and missile fire. And Israel will not tolerate this situation. This is why my government has instructed the Israeli Defense Forces to conduct surgical strikes against the terrorist infrastructure in Gaza. And this is why Israel will continue to take whatever action is necessary to defend our people. I want to remind you that 7 years ago, Israel withdrew from every square inch of Gaza. Now, Hamas that took over the areas we vacated, what did it do? Rather than build a better future for the residents of Gaza, the Hamas leadership, backed by Iran, turned Gaza into a terrorist stronghold. They fired thousands of rockets at our cities, at our towns, at our civilians, at our children. They've smuggled thousands of rockets and missiles into Gaza. And they deliberately placed these rockets and missiles in civilian areas, in homes, in schools, near hospitals. This year alone, they fired over 1,000 rockets and missiles at Israel, including close to 200 rockets in the last 24 hours. I'm stressing this because it's important to understand one simple point. There is no moral symmetry. There is no moral equivalence between Israel and the terrorist organizations in Gaza. The terrorists are committing a double war crime. They fire at Israeli civilians, and they hide behind Palestinian civilians. And by contrast, Israel takes every measure to avoid civilian casualties. I saw today a picture of a bleeding Israeli baby. This picture says it all. Hamas deliberately targets our children, and they deliberately place their rockets next to their children. Now, despite this reality, and it's a very difficult reality, Israel will continue to do everything in its power to avoid civilian casualties. I have to say that from my talks with world leaders, I have the clear understanding that they have a clear understanding of this. Yesterday I spoke to President Obama, and I briefed him on Israel's operations. I want to express my appreciation once again to President Obama for his unequivocal, clear-sighted support for Israel's right to defend itself. I also want to express my appreciation to the other world leaders I've had a chance to speak to in the last 24 hours, to President Hollande of France, to UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, to EU Foreign Secretary, Foreign Minister Catherine Ashton, and to the Quartet representative Tony Blair. I want to thank them for their understanding of Israel's need to defend itself and Israel's right to defend itself. In the past 24 hours, Israel has made it clear that it will not tolerate rocket and missile attacks on its civilians. I hope that Hamas and the other terror organizations in Gaza got the message. If not, Israel is prepared to take whatever action is necessary to defend our people.